àkókò oṣù lókòrí. Èyí ayé ṣe mo ti mọ̀ o. Good morning, you all. Brothers, sisters, fathers, and mothers, they are present. I bring you greetings from the Ooni of Ife, Oba Ojaja II. The purpose of our gathering this morning is to talk about a topic, fortitude and resilience. But I have a little, diversion, if you like. That is my own topic, the way I want to approach fortitude and resilience. And I want to do it by saying culture, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Earlier, the young man who has been the chief host gave us a brief meaning of what fortitude means. That is courage in pain or adversity. That's quite an interesting way of looking at it and looking at our situation in Nigeria. We're going through so much pain. We're going through so much pain, but yet we need our courage to make us overcome whatever pain we are going through. Resilience, the capacity to recover or quickly from the ability of a substance or object to spring back. There is this proverbial bird of the Ghanaians called Sankofa. Has any of you ever heard of Sankofa? It's a particular bird in Ghana, a proverbial bird in Ghana that's called Sankofa, and then Sankofa looks back. If you look, you could Google Sankofa maybe where you're done from here today. It looks back and catches its egg so that it can spring forth. So that's where resilience comes to play. That ability to be able to spring forth and move on. Somebody said Nigerian people are so resilient, so much that even when you are chasing a Nigerian, gudu, and normal people, or rather rational mind, when you chasing them, they get to the wall. After they get to the wall, what do? They turn around and fight back. But Nigerians, when you chase them to the wall, he will try to dig through the wall. That's quite amazing. And a foreigner observed that. An American friend of mine told me that he was in Nigeria for 6 months, and all she could see, was that Nigerians are so resilient that even when you chase them, you still want to break the wall and still running. That's why we will say anything that happens, it is God making. I'm not saying we shouldn't have patience or have consideration for whatever the problem may be, but for God's sake, stay and solve that problem. Don't run away from it. It is no longer news that Nigerian artists and their works have earned and are still earning the country a lot of laurels, accolades, and foreign exchange from various parts of the world. I've traveled far and wide, and my works have been shown in different parts of the world. Like the host was reading. And I know the kind of respect they accord me when I'm over there, such that I don't even get here. I've been in occasions whereby limousine is waiting for me, or I'm taken around in American government vehicle to places that I go. And I think we have a lot of values that we don't even put any value on, a lot of treasures. So we need to look inward. We need to see. We need to understand clearly. We need to get it right. that only we can solve our own problem. In addition to increasing its contribution to the GDP, the sector can also provide substantial employment opportunities, as it has been. Look at how much the Nollywood, virtually every home you go to in the US or other parts of the world, you see Nollywood films in their homes. Those are no products that you take and you expect they're going to, those are finished products. And they earn foreign exchange to the country. But how much attention is the government paying to that sector? If they are paying, I can tell you it's not enough. From what has just been said, it is clear that the tenor and quality of people's creativity usually have something to do with the culture of such people. Nigerians have been so resilient, so ebullient, and so robust because of the richness of the cultures of the people that make up Nigeria. This robustness of the culture is reflected in the various aspects of the people's way of life, such as their architecture, performing arts, visual arts, literary arts, culinary arts, etc. This should not be surprising, since all forms of creativity endeavors stem from the same source: culture, experience, and aspirations. While I give kudos to the organizers of this speech, this outreach, that is to TEDxBodija organizers, can we all clap for them, please? I like to say, if you must find your way, first you must know where you are going. Stepping out of Monia, where Ms. Olowokere lives, and she's on her way to Lagos, and then she gets on the express, instead of turning right, she turns left. Where's she going to end? Kano somewhere. Because, first and foremost, maybe she didn't even know that where she needs to be is Lagos. So if you must find your way, first, you must know where you're going. And if you don't know where you are going, any road will do. Right? If you don't know where you're going, any road will do. The Chinese proverb says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with what? The first step. But I say, no, the first step in the right direction. What I'm saying in essence is that there must be a clear-cut agenda you youths must embark upon, not minding all those distractions caused by the so-called leaders the world is producing today. Look around you. Where do you really find upright, honest politicians whose purpose is to genuinely serve you and not a mindset of what is in it for me with him? Show me where you find an honest politician there for your purpose. You know one? Do you know one? Who knows one? Raise up your hand if you know one. That member of the House of Rep is there gidigba for me. That Senate man is there gidigba for me. Show me. Can somebody raise up his or her hand who knows exactly who is that person really fighting his or her cause? Therefore, I enjoin you youths to take up the vanguard of being the lifesaver and redeemers of our almost collapsed creative and entrepreneurial ambient, and put to shame those politicians who think everything should be politicized, religiously inclined, and if you like, ethnocentrically inspired. Yes, you youths need to girdle up your loins to save the world. And I mean the world in its entirety, because an inappropriate treatment meted out to an innocent citizen in Ibadan is an injustice the world over. Be on top of the game the world over. Let youths in Ibadan know the youths in Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Let youths in London affiliate with youths in Sokoto. Don't work at cross purposes. Ensure to cross-fertilize. Let youths across the universe fraternize with each other in a way that some of you, none is left out. because the world has become a global village. So a big advantage of that, take a big advantage of that, fraternize with each other. There is this phenomenon called globalization, right? You know what I call it? Globe, come and light in my situation. Globalization, yes. Should globalization mean that only Chinese who brings all the product we'll be using? Our best bread is woven in India. Our food or whatever is coming from, and what are we taking to that center? That to me, what globalization should mean. So if globe cannot light in my situation, and I can be wherever I am and be comfortable, then go back for globalization. In 1999, when the president democratic era took off, I and some concerned Nigerians realized that the new concept must be nurtured appropriately if it is to grow and produce desired dividends. This was what led to the mounting of a multimedia art exhibition tagged Artist and Nation Building, Nigeria at 39. Opened on October 21st, 1999 at the National Museum, Aleshiloye, Ibadan. The exhibition was co-sponsored by the likes of Dr. Tony Mario, Africa Book Builders, Mr. Lalu Oguniyi, and a host of others. One of the positive fallouts of this exhibition was the impetus it gave for our being invited to mount an exhibition to raise awareness as part of a conference to seek debt forgiveness by the federal government then, headed by President Olusegun Obasanjo. I shared the catalog of the previous exhibition in Ibadan with Dr. Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala, who I've worked with in some areas. And then she looked at the exhibition, the catalog, and said, wow, these we've got to use to ensure that we seek debt forgiveness by letting the world know why there's so much atrocities and calamities that we have gotten from the money we were owing. How much were we owing then? We said to have borrowed $13 billion from IMF, DFID, Paris Club, World Bank, and we've paid $5 billion out of the $13 billion. Mathematically, how much will it be left for us to pay? But at that point, they said we were owing $36 billion. That was the genesis of the money we were owing then, up until 1999 when President Obasanjo came in. So, and this debt has become a big burden on us, so much that we have become a pariah state. Now, we were owing $36 billion then, and that was just basically rollover. Because when you don't pay at the end of a certain time, it rolls over. And now you know how much we are owing? Go and check your record. I will not be the one to tell you that. That's just the bulk. Ojú gbèsè gan tá jẹ nìyẹn. Àti sọ̀rọ̀ lórí tábà tó tètè san. Ṣé rí pé you youths have a lot of work to do. So I pulled together a group of artists called Nigerian Artists for a Nation Anew, NAFANA. I said, wait a minute. The federal government has asked me to curate an exhibition that will highlight the calamitous repercussions of our external debt. So I sent out flyers to all over the country. So you artists, please paint or sculpt or draw or use old tires, like Mrs. Jumoke Olowokere will use, to showcase the calamitous repercussion of our external debt. So 109 artists responded from all over the country, out of which I selected 41. And all 41 telling a vivid story of how we began, the journey called Nigeria today from 1914, how we got independence in 1960, how we become a republic in 1963, and what has transpired, the military doing their own thing, beating up our psychic, and all those experiences we've had. Politicians coming back in the agbada and doing nothing but stealing money and money and money and money and money. So, and how the debt that we were owing, that nobody paid attention to it. The generation paying that money, that debt at that time, were not the generation who actually, borrowed the money. So that means the money being borrowed today, you guys, at least people under age 35, you are going to be the one to pay for it. Maybe in another 10 years. And you will be like, among the artists who made the final list, that is who get to be in the show, were Dr. Bruce Onobrapeya, Yemi Olawale, Mufu Onifade, Kenneth Ubani, Rukemenu Serime, Barrett Akubabayan, and so on and so forth. But cut a long story short, you have to speak up. Now, don't wait, Soros, okay, don't wait for another time. I'm not saying be violent necessarily. There are people who have fought for the freedom of their countries without raising a penknife. Martin Luther King fought for the freedom of the black people in America without raising a penknife. No one ever said that he found Martin Luther King, carrying gun or having any form of weapon on him, or Desmond Tutu or Nelson Mandela or any of those, or Che Guevara, any of those people. They fought for the freedom of their country without holding a penknife. So you can do it. You just need to speak up and be constructive. There are two types of criticism: constructive and destructive. Culture, as we all know, is the way of the way a people live their lives. Do we actually value our own culture? Do we? If I should start talking to you about culture, but that's not the way it is. We just need to take a critical look into what is actually culture. The way you dress, what you eat, the language by which you communicate, the environment you live, those are the components of what make culture culture. And we have very good cultural richnesses. Creativity. In its simplest form, creativity can be described as the act of producing something out of imagination. When the mind conceives something and is brought to light in concrete form, and that something also has an aesthetic value, it is considered to be creative. In addition to aesthetic value, such a thing may also have a utilitarian value as well. Indeed, imagination is so critical to creativity that without it, creativity may not be visible, not alone being viable. Thus, there is a nexus between imagination and creativity. Our country, Nigeria, has not achieved the desired progress for the simple reason that many of those who have been governing us do not possess imagination that could spur creativity. Indeed, that notable poet, Professor Niyi Oshundare, says, and I quote, "We have not developed because we are being ruled by leaders who lack imagination." And this is said in 2003. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I thought Nigeria would be like greater than London. Nigeria will be greater than America. Is that the reality on our face? Aren't we all of us trying to get a visa to run to America, or to run to Europe, or even to Ghana? So I'm challenging you, youth. If you know something that can move this country forward, that can save this country, come out and say it. Speak up. I repeat again. We need to remember that imagination is thinking of something, whether it is an object, place, time, etc., that is not present, while creativity is doing something meaningful with your imagination. In other words, it's a process of making, so creativity is a process of making intangible tangible. Something that never exists. And then you bring it to bear. And now we can see it physically. That's bringing tangibility from intangibility. Entrepreneurship is the ability to turn one skill into productive and profitable venture. That is, in addition to being productive, such a venture must also be capable of fetching one some income. Know how to turn your talent to wealth. Entrepreneurship, incidentally, virtually every one of us, except perhaps those who came to this world as imbeciles, and I make apology for that, have innate creative skills that can be turned into productive venture as defined. What makes the difference between those who make it, to use the popular, terms, and those who have not made it, may lie in the extent to which each put his or her own entrepreneurial or creative skills to use. Like Bill Gates says, that American billionaire, he said, if you are born poor, it is not your fault. But if you die poor, it is your fault. So that means you have that responsibility to make yourself who you want to become in life.
Old pirates, yes, they robber. So that to the merchant ship. If you know how to sing it, sing it. Days after day to carry from the bottomless pit. But my hand was very strong. By the hand of the Almighty, we forwarded this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing this song of freedom? It's all I know. Redemption song, redemption song. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. No matter what else can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy. None of them kill us of the time. How long shall they kill our prophet? And we just stand outside and look. God is good.